the first thing I saw was the filter. That sickeningly sweet, overly bright filter on her face. It wasn't her. Not the woman I'd built a life with, the woman who'd shared every joy, every sorrow, every quiet moment with me. It was a carefully constructed facade, a digital mask hiding something I hadn't even begun to comprehend. I scrolled through her new profile, a curated collection of images, exotic locations, stylish outfits, and her. But this wasn't the her I knew. This was a version polished to perfection, a version designed to project an image of carefree happiness. The pictures weren't recent, they were subtly altered, hinting at a life I wasn't a part of. I felt a cold dread creep into my bones. It started with a fleeting glance, a casual scroll through my phone, and ended with the shattering realization that the woman beside me wasn't the woman I thought I knew. The weight of years, of shared memories, of a life meticulously constructed, crashed down on me. The faded photographs on the table seemed to mock me, silent witnesses to a betrayal I couldn't have imagined. How could she do this? How could she so casually erase the years we had spent together, replacing them with a carefully crafted illusion? The morning light felt harsh, exposing the cracks in the foundation of our marriage, cracks I had been blind to for so long. I lifted the wedding photo, the glass cool against my trembling fingers. It was a snapshot of a lifetime ago, a time when love felt limitless, when promises were whispered with unwavering conviction. Her eyes in that photo, they held a depth of affection I hadn't seen in years. It was a painful reminder of what we had, of the vows we had made, of the future we had envisioned. I traced the outline of her face with my thumb, feeling the ghost of her touch. The warmth of the memory clashed violently with the icy reality of the present. Each detail, the way she tilted her head, the smile playing on her lips, the way she clung to me, was a dagger twisting in my heart. The photograph wasn't just an image, it was a tangible representation of a dream lost, a future stolen. The tears stung my eyes, a mixture of grief, anger, and profound sadness. I felt a desperate longing for the woman in the photo, for the love that had once been so vibrant and real. This wasn't just about infidelity, it was about the erosion of trust, the slow, insidious decay of a bond that had once seemed unbreakable. The duality of it all was almost unbearable. One moment, I was drowning in the wreckage of our reality, the next, I was confronted with the meticulous construction of a new one. I watched her, across the kitchen, her fingers dancing across the screen, transforming a simple photograph into something else. It was a performance, a carefully orchestrated illusion designed to deceive. The way she focused, the deliberate adjustments to light and color, the subtle enhancements, it was as if she were building a new person, a digital avatar of happiness. It didn't feel like love, it felt like a project. A calculated effort to curate an image, to project a persona, to conceal the truth. The contrast between the faded memories and the polished present was stark and unforgiving. It was a jarring reminder that the person I thought I knew had been a carefully constructed fiction all along. The air in the kitchen felt thick with unspoken words, with lies and deceit. The silence was deafening. I wandered through the house, a ghost in my own home, surrounded by the remnants of a life that no longer existed. Every photograph, every memento, was a painful reminder of what we had lost. The framed pictures on the walls seemed to mock me, their cheerful scenes highlighting the emptiness that had crept into our lives. I paused in the hallway, staring at a photo of our daughter's first birthday party. Her laughter, her innocent joy, it felt like a lifetime ago. Now, the house felt vast and empty, filled with echoes of the past. The weight of years pressed down on me, the realization that so much had been built on a foundation of lies. It wasn't just a betrayal of trust, it was a betrayal of our shared history, of our family, of everything we had ever believed in. The house, once a sanctuary, now felt like a prison, a constant reminder of my isolation. I saw her hand, poised over the phone, the fingers flying across the screen. The way she held it, the slight tremor in her hand, it was a familiar gesture, but now it felt tainted, corrupted by deceit. I couldn't see the message, but I knew what it was. A conversation, a connection, a betrayal. The soft glow of the screen illuminated her face, casting her in a strange, ethereal light. She seemed so calm, so composed, as if she were engaged in a perfectly normal activity. But I knew the truth. I knew that behind the facade of happiness, there was a hidden world of secrets and lies. The message was a confirmation of my worst fears, a tangible representation of the chasm that had opened up between us. It was a private act of betrayal, a silent declaration of a love that was no longer mine. I stood by the window, watching the city wake up, a vast and sprawling metropolis indifferent to my pain. The mist hung heavy in the air, mirroring the fog in my mind. I felt adrift, lost in a sea of uncertainty. The city lights twinkled below, a million stories unfolding, but none of them were mine. I was an outsider, a spectator in my own life. The world continued on, oblivious to the devastation that had erupted within my home. I felt a profound sense of isolation, as if I were the only one experiencing this pain. The weight of my grief pressed down on me, suffocating me. I wondered how I could possibly move forward, how I could rebuild a life shattered into a million pieces. The city seemed so distant, so unattainable, a symbol of the happiness that had slipped through my fingers. The fragments came together, slowly at first, then with increasing clarity. A lipstick stain on a coffee cup, a cryptic text message, a fleeting glimpse of a woman laughing with another man, each detail a painful piece of the puzzle. The evidence was everywhere, hidden in plain sight. It was a tapestry of deceit, woven with threads of lies and betrayal. I replayed the events in my mind, searching for clues, for explanations, for something to make sense of the chaos. But there were no answers, only questions. The montage of images felt like a cruel game, a deliberate attempt to torment me. Each fragment revealed a new layer of the deception, deepening the wound. I sat on the sofa, staring at the static on the television screen. It was a fitting image for my life, a chaotic jumble of noise and emptiness. I felt numb, disconnected, as if I were watching my life unfold from a distance. The exhaustion was overwhelming, both physical and emotional. I had no energy left to fight, no strength to resist the tide of despair. The world felt gray, devoid of color, of hope. I wondered if I would ever feel happy again, if I would ever trust anyone again. The silence in the room was deafening, broken only by the faint hum of the television. It was a silence filled with unspoken words, with regrets, with the weight of a broken heart. I opened the family photo album, my fingers tracing the worn pages. The scent of old paper and forgotten memories filled the air. I paused at the wedding photo, a snapshot of a time when everything felt possible. Their faces were radiant with love and hope, unaware of the storm that was brewing beneath the surface. It was a bittersweet moment, a reminder of what we had lost, of the dreams that had crumbled. The photo was a testament to the power of love, but also a stark reminder of its fragility. I closed the album, feeling a wave of sadness wash over me. The memories were both comforting and painful, a reminder of a life that had been, and a future that would never be. I wandered into the garden, seeking solace in the familiar scent of roses. But the rose bush was overgrown and neglected, its blooms faded and lifeless. It was a reflection of my own heart, withered, damaged, unable to flourish. I knelt down, gently touching one of the remaining roses. It felt fragile, delicate, a reminder of the beauty that had once been. But it was also a reminder of the inevitable decay, of the passage of time. The garden, once a place of joy and tranquility, now felt desolate and empty. I felt a profound sense of loss, a deep sadness for all that had been lost. The silence of the garden was broken only by the rustling of leaves, a mournful whisper of what once was. She stood in front of the mirror, meticulously adjusting her clothes, applying another layer of makeup. She looked different. More polished, more confident, but there was a flicker of something else in her eyes, a hint of sadness, a trace of regret. She was performing a role, playing a part, a carefully constructed persona designed to impress. But behind the facade of perfection, I sensed a deep unhappiness. She was living a life that wasn't truly hers, a life built on lies and deception. The luxurious bedroom, the expensive clothes, the flawless appearance, it was all a mask, concealing the emptiness within. I wondered if she ever stopped to think about the consequences of her actions, about the pain she had caused. The mirror reflected not just her physical appearance, but also the hollowness of her soul. I looked at the photographs again, the ones from our early years. We were so happy then, so carefree, so full of hope. Their smiles were genuine, their eyes sparkled with love. It felt like a lifetime ago, a different world. Now, those memories felt like a cruel reminder of what I had lost. I longed for the days when our love was pure, untainted by deceit. I longed for the days when our future seemed limitless. The photographs were a bittersweet comfort, a reminder of the beauty that had once been, and the pain that remained. I traced the outlines of their faces with my finger, feeling the ghost of their touch. The past was a refuge, a place to escape the present, but it was also a constant reminder of what could never be again. Our marriage was like a delicate vase, carefully crafted over years of love and affection. But it was fragile, susceptible to cracks and fractures. And then, the final blow, the betrayal, shattered it completely. The pieces were scattered, irreparable. The flowers, once vibrant and full of life, were now wilting, their petals falling to the ground. It was a symbol of the loss, of the destruction of everything we had built together. The shards of the vase represented the broken promises, the shattered dreams, the irreparable damage. I felt a profound sense of grief, a deep sadness for the beauty that had been lost. The image of the shattered vase would forever be etched in my memory, a constant reminder of the pain and betrayal. I scrolled through the messages, each one a stab to my heart. The words, once spoken with love, now felt like accusations, like condemnations. I deleted them, trying to erase the evidence, trying to cleanse my phone of the betrayal. But the messages remained, burned into my memory. I couldn't escape the truth, no matter how hard I tried. The anger surged within me, a bitter tide of resentment and pain. I felt a desperate need for justice, for retribution. But all I had was the knowledge of her deception, the weight of her betrayal. The act of deletion was futile, a symbolic gesture in the face of a devastating reality. The house felt empty, even when filled with sunlight. The dust motes danced in the air, a silent reminder of the passage of time. I wandered through the rooms, feeling like a ghost in my own home. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the occasional creak of the floorboards. I tried to find solace in the sunlight, in the warmth of the day. But it couldn't penetrate the darkness within me. The emptiness of the house mirrored the emptiness in my soul. I felt adrift, lost in a sea of grief. There was no sense of purpose, no direction, no hope for the future. I looked at the picture of our daughter, her face beaming with happiness. It was a painful reminder of what we had lost, of the joy that had been stolen from our family. She was the one innocent party in all of this, the one who deserved a happy home. And I had failed to protect her, to shield her from the pain. The conflict within me was overwhelming. I wanted to protect her from the truth, but I knew that she deserved to know. The image of her smiling face was a constant source of both comfort and pain. It was a reminder of what we had had, and what we would never have again. I walked along the beach, the waves crashing against the shore, a rhythmic soundtrack to my grief. The sunset was breathtaking, a vibrant display of color that mirrored the emotions within me. But it couldn't bring me any comfort. I felt alone, adrift, lost in the vastness of the ocean. The waves seemed to whisper secrets, to mock my pain. I contemplated the vastness of the world, the insignificance of my own problems. The sunset was a reminder of the beauty that still existed, even in the midst of darkness. But it couldn't erase the pain, couldn't heal the wounds. I sat at the bar, nursing a drink, trying to numb the pain. The bartender looked at me with a mixture of pity and indifference. I didn't want to talk, didn't want to explain. The words felt inadequate, insufficient to capture the depth of my grief. The bar was filled with strangers, each with their own stories, their own sorrows. But we were all united by a shared sense of loneliness. The whiskey burned going down, a temporary distraction from the ache in my heart. I felt like a ghost, haunting the edges of my own life. I wrote her a letter, pouring out my heart, expressing all the pain, all the anger, all the confusion. It was a desperate attempt to make sense of the betrayal, to find some semblance of closure. The words flowed onto the page, fueled by years of suppressed emotions. The handwriting was shaky, uneven, a reflection of the turmoil within me. I didn't know if she would read it, if she would even care. But I needed to say it, to release the pent-up emotions. The letter was a testament to the depth of my pain, a symbol of the shattered trust. It was a final attempt to salvage something from the wreckage, a desperate plea for understanding. I looked at the old photograph again, a faded memory of a time when everything felt right. We were so young, so in love, so full of hope. Her smile was radiant, her eyes sparkled with happiness. It was a bittersweet moment, a reminder of what we had lost, but also a testament to what we had once had. A faint smile played on my lips, a ghost of a feeling. It wasn't happiness, not exactly. But it was a sense of peace, a sense of gratitude for the memories. The photograph was a reminder that even in the midst of pain, there was still beauty to be found. I planted a new rose bush in the garden, a small, fragile thing, but full of potential. It was a symbolic gesture, a way of moving forward, of rebuilding my life. The act of planting felt therapeutic, a way of connecting with the earth, of finding solace in nature. I watered the rose bush, nurturing it with hope. I knew it would take time for it to grow, but I was willing to wait. The garden, once a symbol of loss, was now a symbol of renewal. I was determined to find beauty in the brokenness, to find hope in the darkness. I walked away from the house, towards the horizon, leaving the past behind. The sky was clear and blue, a symbol of freedom and possibility. I didn't know what the future held, but I was ready to face it. The journey ahead would be long and difficult, but I was determined to find my own path. I carried the pain with me, but I also carried the memories, the love, the hope. I was leaving behind a chapter of my life, and stepping into a new one. The horizon beckoned, a promise of a new beginning.